G'day guys, today we're here to preview and go through my predictions for the big 2025 AFL Grand Final between Geelong and Brisbane. Now I'm sure a bunch of you guys are wanting to know, will I be going to the game? I haven't been to a Grand Final in 15 years and all of that will be revealed, finalised on the Friday night. So tomorrow night I'll be doing a Grand Final Eve live stream, sort of something different for what I've actually done before. I've never really done something like that on my channel. And as of right now, when this video is out, I'll be out in the city at around a Footy Fest doing a live IRL stream during Grand Final week out in the city. So feel free to join that when you get the opportunity to after this video. There'll be a lot of fun. Hopefully I get up to some cool stuff. And also on Friday, if you are in Melbourne, heading to the parade, heading to Footy Fest, I'll be doing another meet and greet like I did last year at 2:30 PM on Friday. There should be more details up on screen. I will mention more of it. I'll post a short and a couple more things later in the day. However, those are a few things I just want to take mention of over the next couple of days over Grand Final week. All right, now that we've covered all that, let's go through last week's games real quickly just to see my tips. So forget ESPN site. I've stopped tipping all the final week, but I went the Cats to beat Hawthorn. I think I said them to win by 5 or 6 goals. So I was actually really dead set spot on with these predictions. I said Hawthorn would start hot. Geelong would get a big win late. They did. I did tip Collingwood to beat Brisbane though. They won by, won by 29 points. So they completely overran Collingwood there. I was a bit surprised with the result. Now, like I did last year, I want you guys to comment down below your Grand Final predictions. So I want to see score, winner, margin, Norm Smith, and also first goal scorer. And what I'll do is next week on my community post, alongside the winners of the tipping comp, I'll go through the winners of that little competition within my comment section. So comment down below your predictions for the Grand Final this week. And yeah, let's get right into the quick review for my footy tipping comp to see who's currently going to get the prizes. Rightio, so because we only had the 2 games last week, there isn't really any point of mentioning and shout-outing everyone that got a perfect score. It wasn't that difficult. Brizzy on top and Dogs fan somehow still had their jokers left, so they were technically the ones with the highest score. But what is the overall and more important thing here in the tipping comp is the total score. And we have Skyvo, who is still in the lead with 182. He's also actually in the lead in the Rolls Macca tipping comp, but Skyvo, Dos, Jezza DC, Harry 09, and Ben Sampis could all still possibly play for a #1 spot. Top spot still up for grabs for the prizes. Top 5 still up for grabs. Here are the prize up there. When all the winners and all that are finalized, I'll obviously send you messages, emails. I won't promise that the prize will get out to you straight away, but I'll definitely keep in contact with this because I obviously want to make sure the winners are fairly compensated for getting, you know, the wins and all these tipping comps. So with the big calls last week for prelim week, of the 4 that I got correct, I got 1, and that was Geelong Hawthorn. I said that the Cats would kick 6 or more goals in any quarter, and they did that in the third, I believe it was. Yeah, they kicked 8 in the third quarter, had a huge one, and sort of correctly predicted that they'd sort of run on late in the game, in which they did. Now, I know I said before finals that I wanted to try and get 58,000 subscribers by Grand Final day. We're 2 days away. We're still 1.6k subs away. It isn't going to happen, but it'd be nice if you guys that haven't checked this channel out yet or haven't subscribed, maybe hit that button. I've got this content to come over the next couple of days. Might have a Grand Final day vlog, and I'll obviously have probably more creative and entertaining bits of content when the footy season is over. Let's go through the games now. Like I did last year in the Grand Finals, we'll just quickly go through both games that happened on the weekend. So we'll just quickly review them. First off, obviously, we had Geelong v Hawthorn. Geelong winning that game by 30 points. And it sort of went the way I expected. As I said in the video, I had a feeling that Hawthorn, with the energy that they showed throughout the last 2 games, would jump the Cats early, get off to a hot start. But I guess as the game progressed, Geelong got better. Their stars got more on top of the game. Of course, there were a few performances of individual brilliance for a few players for the Cats, especially. Dangerfield had one of his best games he's played really in recent memory, having the 3 goals and 31 disposals. His explosive power in the contest and getting the goals and just being so damaging as a player in that game was just, you know, put on display. Bailey Smith had 36 disposals, but the Cats won by 30, and they sort of won similar to how they did against Brisbane, just with the way they created forward half turnovers, just kept getting entries inside 50 and just so deadly with their forward, and they just ran over the top of Hawthorn. Hawthorn, though, put up a good fight. The second game, Collingwood against Brisbane, I expected Collingwood to make this one a bit more of a closer game, and to be fair, they did. it was a weird one. Brisbane got a hot start, then Collingwood did, and then the Lions, it was sort of a scoring end, but Brisbane controlled the game late and had a big surge in that last quarter. Ty Gallop kicked 3 goals. He could provide potentially a little bit more extra forward scoring power for the Lions in the grand final, sort of play that came out of nowhere. And I thought Brisbane were really good. Hugh McCluggage had a strong game. He had 37 at a goal. Cam Rayner had a really good game as well, especially in that second half. And I thought Josh Dunkley, once again, continuing his final series form, had a good game. Now that we have both prelim finals discussed, let's go through the grand final in itself. It is Geelong v Brisbane. This was the grand final that I had predicted before the start of the final series. I just feel like these were the two best sides in it overall. Yes, obviously Adelaide finished first home and away season, but in terms of experience and quality and just proven potential, I think these have definitely been the best two teams, and probably in the last 5 years. You think of it, I think since 2019, Geelong have been involved in 5 prelim finals, 6 prelim finals. Brisbane involved, I think, in a similar amount, and it's the first time where 2 of the last 3 premiers were in a grand final since 2011. So you could say that the winner of this game could very well make the argument that they're the best team in the modern era, because if Geelong win, that'll be their 5th flag since 2000, and likewise with Brisbane, also their 5th flag. A couple of key stats as well. Geelong's last 8 games that they've played this season, they have scored over 100 points. As you can see on the screen right there, I know, to finish off the end of 2025 in the home and away season, a lot of those games were against some of the lower sides. You could make the argument they were soft kill wins, but they were able to extend and carry on that form against some good sides. Again, obviously with Brisbane and Hawthorn in the final series. So their damaging, potent, powerhouse forward line has been put on display, and they've kicked 100 points in 8 games in a row. But with Brisbane, they've won 6 of the last 7 games at the MCG, with that loss in the middle being that game against the Cats. Looking at Brisbane's also last 10 games as well, and yeah, obviously they've had a few form slumps here and there. Their form hasn't been as strong as the Cats, so the Cats are heading into this grand final. Not clear favourites, but for a grand final, fairly strong favourites. They're $2.50, the Lions. The Cats are $1.50, and for fair reasons. I think the ways that the Cats have won in both of their finals, as opposed to Brisbane, they've had to do it the hard way. Let's quickly go through both teams and their strength in ways I think they can win the grand final this year. Geelong, obviously, we can talk about their forward line. I think it's the most potent forward line in the competition. You've got Jezza Cameron, Shannon Neal, Patrick Dangerfield, you throw him in there, he kicks 3 or 4 goals. Stengel, Close, Myers, throw in Ollie Dempsey. Did I mention even Jack Martin? They've got such an array of dangerous forwards that can kick goals from anywhere, and their ability to turn the ball over in the forward 50 has been a real reason why the Cats have been able to score so much, and their quick ball movement inside 50 as well. They play their best when they move it in quick. When they move it in quick, they run quick. As a team, they've got options, and it's going to be really difficult for Brisbane to defend, to be honest with you. So the Lions have to eliminate that. They've got to eliminate one-on-ones. The Cats are also good at blocking the corridor. Geelong, they've probably got more of the strength, but Brisbane, you could probably say in terms of list strength, they might have the stronger list, especially in the midfield department. I think in terms of stacking both of them next to each other, Brisbane are probably the better midfield, and they play their best footy lines when they're quick. They play quick. They're great with their D50 to forward 50 transition play. I couldn't tell you who has the better list on paper. You can make the argument for Brisbane or Geelong, but for Brisbane to win this game, given Geelong's strength, they need their stars to perform. They can't allow Hugh McCluggage to have a lesser performance, perhaps through an Osen Mullen tag. Lachie Neale, we checked the lineups. He looks like he's fit to play. I don't know if it's absolutely confirmed, but if he isn't 100%, that could be a massive concern, especially if he goes down early with a calf issue. I wouldn't be so opposed. I've seen a few people say that maybe Lachie Neale could be the sub. So he could be fresh when a lot of the other players aren't fresh. Bring him on like halfway through the third. If the game's closer than the balance, maybe a fresh Lachie Neale could be the game changer. But yeah, Brisbane, they've got Loman up there in the forward line. He's been great in every final series he's played. Callum Archie kicked like 3 goals last year. Or was it 3 or 4 in the grand final? Logan Morris needs a big game. Can Ty Gallop do what he's been doing in the last 2 games up forward as well? And Josh Dunkley, he's got to have to put a bit of a stop, I feel like, on someone like Dangerfield with his tackling pressure. Of course, the last time they met, we mentioned this before a little bit, but it was 112-74. The Cats completely dominated Brisbane and probably should have won that game by 50 or more points. It just felt like that was how the game was for most of it. They had a lot of missed chances as well, the Cats. I think Brisbane, after that game, they would have taken a lot out of it. They'll know what to address and hopefully come back better and stronger in the grand final. And I just don't think it's going to be quite like that margin. I think for a grand final, the Lions are going to know what they've got to address, and I think it's going to be a lot closer this time. A couple more things to just quickly make mention before we go into my prediction. It is obviously unfortunate. Jared Berry most likely won't be playing with that injury last week. Tom Stewart, we mentioned before, the concussion. So, yes, it's going to make the Cats a little thinner. You know, Stewart was actually heading into the final series with some good form. But I don't think the defensive structure of Geelong will be too badly impacted. So I don't think it's going to be too big. For Geelong's sake, Harris Andrews is arguably Brisbane's most important player. So what he did last week, Harris Andrews, he was so good in the air. Like, he kept stopping so many, balls that were going inside. Collingwood's forward 50. If it happens to the Cats and they kept kicking it to Andrews, that could go against them massively. So if the Cats just don't kick it in Andrews' direction, I think they'll be okay. For Brisbane as well, a play that I think if he has a big game could actually honestly go a long way into them winning the game. And I think it's Charlie Cameron. Let's be honest, he hasn't been at his best the last couple of years, especially this year. His final series has been not amazing. His damaging game hasn't been quite there. If he has a really influential 15-plus disposal, 3 or plus so goal game out of nowhere, that might be the performance that could get Brisbane over the line. And having him step up would be huge. And maybe with Stewart's out, that could allow him to maybe, free up that role. So we don't know with that. A lot of eyes on Charlie Cameron. I hope he has a big game. I think on grand final day, it'd be great to see him kick a few goals as well. I just don't think the blinds, though, for this game, they'll be able to keep up with Geelong for long enough, because I don't know if they've got the personnel to stop Dangerfield, Jeremy Cameron, when they're completely on and when they have that surge, which they could have in the third quarter like we've seen in the other two finals. I just think ultimately the strengths that I've listed for the Cats outweigh Brisbane's. With these final series we've watched as well, the way the Cats just go on these runs, quick surges, get quick goals, like a 4 or 5 minute passage of play could be enough for the Cats to win the flag. Lachie Neale's a big one. If he isn't 100% and he, pulls up with a bit of an injury, has a calf issue, they're screwed, I think, the Lions, and I think the Cats win by a bit. But hopefully it's a close grand final. I'm going to be tipping the Cats to win this game by 23 points. My score will be 105 Geelong, 82 Brisbane. Both sides can score heavily when they want to. I just think the Cats are going to continue their streak of 100 points, and they'll get to the 100-point mark. But I think it'll be a pretty close game for most of it. I just think Geelong will break away, have a bit of a surge, and they'll get on top late. A Norm Smith medal for this game. Now, I went with him in my original finals predictions. I'm going to back in once again Sean Manor. He was good against Hawthorn once again. Just, that player in the stoppages that can just get out the back, get the goals. He knows how to be in the right position to get goals and get scores. And he can collect the footy when he wants to as well. And he also got best of field for the VFL Grand Final a couple of years ago in 2023. So he knows how to perform in the big moments. So I'm going to go Sean Manor. It's a bit left of field, but I just think the Cats, he might step up in one of those games. So Geelong to win it by 23 points for my grand final. Norm Smith, Sean Manor. Let me know down below what you think the grand final is going to look like. Hopefully, with the shitty final series we've had so far, hopefully the grand final is the one that, sort of lives to the occasion, and maybe we do end up getting a classic. But yeah, as I said before, comment below your tips, and I'll see you very soon for more content. But if you're watching this 5 to 6 o'clock, jump right onto the live stream, because I'm currently in the city, streaming IRL grand final week. So jump on the live stream if you can, and we'll see you soon in my next video.